deal with an insane world, that doctors are not necessarily more normal than patients. Needless to say, not all doctors agree.
What happened? Well, you know, for that matter, for the last few months, while I was freezing cold for about a month. I couldn't get warm no matter how much I wore. I couldn't stand up without fainting. I couldn't sleep. Whatever. It's possible that when I was laying there thinking I wasn't sleeping, that now and then I drifted off and would wake up and not notice. I mean, I can't eliminate that as a possibility. Some decrease in the ability to experience joy. My hand has a tremor, my left hand. Exceedingly unpleasant.
I can maybe stretch my mind and imagine.
And so there's that, but then also weakness on my left side and like a feeling of detachment from people. And then also I had a strange muscle weakness that plagued me, and the experience was intolerably dreadful, hair-raising and stressful, to say the least. There were so many other things going on around me at that time. I couldn't walk up and down stairs because I couldn't see the stairs properly. That's what happened to me.
So this is a guy who is frozen with terror.
Likely.
Right, well, there's nothing the matter with him physically, but there's something the matter with him, so there must be something the matter with him mentally. Consternation, bewilderment, dreadful, hellish states of mind.
We were told.
Really, it's terrifying to say anything to you. Then I'm cringing, I can't make a move in relationship to you, and I can't say anything. So from a psychiatric point of view, I'm suddenly a mute, catatonic, schizophrenic.
My writings, I've never suggested that I was anything other than one of the people who also needed to learn this lesson. People need to know this. It's not good.
I would say to anyone who is prepared to look at it that way.
Even if I did get up and move, it was like being jabbed with something.
Now, I've been in a certain amount of that territory myself, without being labeled insane. Keep that human communication.
The person obviously made some errors in choice that contributed to this.
If I can take a single word,
Drug?
I would prefer to call it suffering. Suffering and confusion, misery, consternation, bewilderment.
Yes, well, now I definitely, I don't think I'll forget that. That I never really thought about it again. You know, I thought that it was a relatively harmless drug.
I don't think there's anything wrong with all that, as far as you've said it. I'm not allowed to prescribe people acid. I'm only allowed to prescribe the electric shocks.
You know, you don't want to say something like that lightly. Jabbed with a prod, like a cattle prod, something electric or something sharp, non-stop for hours, for all the hours I was awake. It was absolutely, I couldn't sit or lay down or stop moving. I don't think I slept at all for something on the order of 3 weeks.
I mean, this guy that we've got in front of me is not asking for drugs, or he might be. Sometimes.
Right.
I mean, he might say, I'm so terrified, you know, please give me something just to calm me down. I'll give him it immediately.
Yeah.
You know, what can I do for you? And you're so frightened. It must be a mental illness. That person needs to have their state of mind stopped right away by drugs or electricity, otherwise it'll get worse.
But enough people have a terrible time so that it's an absolute, it's a medically induced epidemic. It's a complete bloody catastrophe.
You know, a tremendous amount of money comes from drug companies.
Those drugs are for short-term treatment of stress-induced anxiety.
In effect, but it was a bit more than that. It was
What? Generally unadvised treatment was all surreal.
because they don't know anything after what happens when they administer their prescription.
My head's screwed on straight again. So,
It's a metaphor. Bit annoyed, you know. I'm pressed in my life. I've got my problems too.
well, why the hell didn't I see this coming? It wasn't like that made it better.
You don't have to believe me, but I'm just telling you anyway. I've got no designs on you. I'm not going to put drugs into you don't want. I'm not going to assault you.
Right, right.
I mean, I'm saying I'm not going to put you into a mental hospital. As a psychiatrist, well, I'm a patient. You're a psychiatrist. Now,
You and me.
it's difficult to get to that human thing.
I don't know. I can't understand it.
Well, my point is that psychiatrists don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, to some degree. You have to make the decision about whether or not to attend to anything that I'm doing based on your own judgment about what I've done and said. And if you find that that's not convincing, then that's your prerogative. And if you find that it's useful, then, well, I'm delighted by that, obviously. And that's that. That's as much as there is to say.
Jesus Christ, I mean, you know, Jesus Christ was a carpenter. You know, would you like to do some work on my desk?
Remember, we talked about that, right? The difference between abuse and dependence.
See, I'm not condemning the use of any drug,
Yeah, well,
whatever, from aspirin to lithium to any sort of tranquilizer or even electric shock. Jesus Christ.
It's like being whipped. That's another way of thinking about it. Suppose it would depend on how big a whip.
The thing is, you asked yourself, what is this disturbance on about?
Why wasn't I more cautious? And but there were lots of times, plenty of times, when I just couldn't stop doing it.
You are a catatonic schizophrenic and you need electric shocks.
Complete bloody lie, which wasn't helping much. You're not your friend for very long. It's funny, even now, because it's somewhat stressful to have this conversation.
And respond as best one can in the circumstances to that suffering.
It's no overstatement to say that for me, I can feel the tremors in my forehead, and that's partly stress-induced.
Considering this situation, I'm not offering him friendship because I might not like this guy.
So we should probably stop talking.
I'm not
Well,
offering.
thank you for talking with me.
Because he
Probably not your friend.